FTTB, the 2024 schedule is coming very soon. As a little primer, I have 3 things for you in this video. 1, I have some good news about the schedule. 2, a look at our best and worst matchups in this upcoming 2024 season. And 3, a quick look at each of our opponents' post-draft power rankings. And when I say quick, I'm emphasizing quick. We're not doing the deep dive today. That will come when the schedule is fully released. If you're new here, I'm Nate. Welcome to Sports Talk San Francisco. We're talking all things San Francisco sports. As you might have guessed, I would super appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. Let's jump straight into it. Right off the bat, let's give a little reminder of the opponents that the 49ers will be facing. 49ers released this nice, beautiful looking graphic right here so you can get a look at the home versus away games. I almost said matches. That Soccer Nate just came out right there. And I guess we could talk about that later, though, as one of these games could end up being overseas in an actual soccer stadium. But yeah. The news that came out actually last night was that the full NFL schedule is currently slated to be released at 8 p.m. Eastern time on May 15th. So mark your calendars for next Wednesday at 5 p.m. for that schedule release. And you better believe I'll be covering it on this channel, so make sure you're subscribed for that. But the good news, starting there first, the good news is that our strength of schedule came in relatively nice. I'll take it. 49ers here highlighted down at tied for 12th. You can see also the Chiefs have a little bit of a kinder schedule, but I'll take it. Even when you look at some of the other teams in here that, I'll take that little win that we have there. We'll take it. I also put together a little spreadsheet here, a little spreadsheet action on kind of my take and my picks for way too early predictions before we know anything about schedule and location, all that. All we know is home versus away and the teams. And I added in there Eric Edholm's post-draft power rankings in each of those. So you see Cardinals come in at 26, which is wild. But if you're interested, let me know in the comments which games you see us losing, if any, of course, and let us know, let me know what you think the trap games are, all of that. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to try and breeze through this as fast as possible because I know that this could very quickly become a 30-minute video. If you want the deep dive, though, let me know in the comments and I will go deeper on that. So first things first, when I look at the matchups, I'm thinking, obviously, you can see I put the NFC West games. What's wrong with me right now, man? I didn't even watch soccer today. The NFC West games matchups. That's what I was looking for. At the top there. And I'm going to suggest that we would expect the 49ers probably, even though Cardinals, I think, are way better than 26 ranked. I think by mid-season, you're going to be thinking of this team as a much better team than they look right now. I'm going to say that these are both wins. I would expect both of these games are wins for the 49ers. Probably not going to be easy games. I don't really particularly think that Arizona Cardinals have the most amazing away game or their home game support or anything like that. But anyway, I'm digressing. I also think the Seahawks are going to do a lot better than people probably are projecting right now, but I have both of those as W's as well, kind of maintaining the current form that we have against that team. With the Rams, however, I've got us splitting those. I think it would be amazing if we come out of these 6 games, 5 out of 6. That would be great. Like I said, I think that the NFC West is way more competitive than Eric is giving them credit for right now. But I'm going to accept those power ranking numbers because I like them, and it makes me happy that they look like all the teams in our division suck. But I'm going to say we win at home, lose away. Just kind of following something fairly standard there. Okay. Moving from there, okay, I think that if you look at the obvious we should win games, and there are no guaranteed wins in football. It's a very competitive game. So I'm throwing stuff out there. That's why I caveat this as a way too early projection. I mean, we're just throwing it out there. But Patriots are a must win. I feel like, you'd be kind of embarrassed to lose that game for sure. I feel the same way about the Jets. That's a game you should win. And even the Bucks, they could get a little bit tricky depending, but I don't see them taking over right now. And we'll come back to in a second. After we get through the picks, we'll go to, or maybe at least some of the picks, we'll go to kind of what the post-draft power rankings look like, just to give you a little bit of an overview. But left up here, we have a few games that could be kind of tricky. It depends. Do you end up facing the Minnesota Vikings in London? In which point that game goes from being what I think would be a win to, I think it's still a win, but I feel a little bit less comfortable calling it a guaranteed win. They have, for some reason, won every time that they've played over in the UK. And I don't like these games. I feel like they're trap games. It really depends on what the schedule was before and the following week after. I get kind of nervous with these travel games. And this year, there's a lot of traveling going on. Fortunately for the 49ers, they don't need to worry about all of the potential ones like Sao Paulo or anything like that. But I'm digressing here. I think the Chicago Bears could be kind of tricky, but I think we're going to beat them. And I see a weird similarity between the Bears and the Miami Dolphins right now in terms of how they're going to stack up with good defenses, but pretty solid, potentially solid offenses. Miami's offense is going to be great. That's for sure. I don't think they're the best team in the league or anything. I'm not trying to oversell them. And the Bears are a question mark for sure, but if Caleb does something special, then, man, they could be an interesting team to play against. But I have the Bears as a win. Some of these games, I should have done like an 80-20. Some of these games, I feel like it's 80-20. Like I really think we're going to win, but there's a chance there. I'm going to come back to Dolphins. This one's tripping me up a little bit. I lean toward win, but I could see this going south. My gut is a win. So I'll leave that as a 50-50 for a second, and I'll come back to that in a second. I think we beat the Kansas City Chiefs, although that's for sure a 50-50 game. I think we beat the Kansas City Chiefs because I think we're too angry to not go into that game and have every single amount of energy and frustration. Every bit of energy is going toward beating the Kansas City Chiefs for sure in that game. Fortunate to be at home, so there'll be lots of hate for the fans. And you guys got to remember, I live in Denver, and I've lived here for over a decade now. So I hate for the Kansas City Chiefs from the NFC side, from a 49ers perspective, and I have the hate for the Kansas City Chiefs from a division rival for the Broncos. So I'm just full of it. My wife's family's all diehard Broncos fans. Plenty of hate for Kansas City going around in this house for sure. The Cowboys games. The Cowboys game, again, you look at their ranking and you're like, oh, it's kind of like March Madness. You look and see, oh, okay, yeah, that's not bad. This is a rival game. This is a trap game. I could see us losing this, but I really feel like this is a win for us at home. We're going to pull it out. Detroit Lions are the one that I'm not sure about. They're looking improved. We'll get to that again in a little bit, but man, this one I could see us being our only home loss of the season if we have one. And I might come back and change that. I'm on the fence about that one for sure. That one could definitely be a 50-50. Then as we move over to our away games, Green Bay Packers completely depends when are you playing at Lambeau Field. Are you playing at Lambeau in the middle of the winter? And where did you come from before that? Were you at home for several weeks before that? Were you playing warm weather games before that? I do have some concerns. Lambeau is kind of a tricky place to play. I'm a little concerned. I think Brock still has a lot to prove with playing in cold weather. And some guys just don't do it very well. I mean, you look at Peyton Manning, he struggled the last 5 years of his career playing in cold weather. And, it's totally fair. I have no qualms about that, no concerns about that. I think you can be a great football quarterback with having weaknesses, right? That being said, the Green Bay Packers is definitely a trap game. I could see us losing this game, but I'm stuck between this. And so I feel like I'm 50-50 on Bills-Packers. So I'm going to just pick one and say we lose to the Packers potentially, and we win against the Buffalo Bills. I just don't really trust the Bills to pull out the W in the end. And I think, I hope I'm wrong, but I think Jordan Love might be continuing to build off of the momentum, much like we saw with our very own starting QB. With the last two there that I've left 50-50s, I'm going to say we're going to beat the Minnesota Vikings because I think we should beat them, and I think we have a lot of reasons to beat them. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to be outstanding in his first season, and I think the Miami Dolphins, on the other hand, will say that playing the odds, we're going to lose some games. That's a game that we lose. I have us at 13-4. I've done this about 10 different times, and I always end up something close to 13-4. I could see us being 12-5. It's possible. It's 100% possible we do better than 13-4. But I just feel like the odds are very much against you to have that kind of a run going. If we do, fantastic. No one's going to complain about that. I think our offense is going to be absolutely stout this year. I think our defense is going to be fantastic. I do have question marks about our offensive line, although I do think our depth at the guard is looking really good. So there's a lot of positives here. I just think at the end of the day, teams lose football games. It's part of the gig, man. It's very difficult any given Sunday, right? And you have all of those question marks about where the games are being played, when they're being played there, if there's an overseas game on the where part. But when they're being played, you have question marks about kind of how they line up with the bye week, how they line up with injuries. There's so many things that can affect the season. It's hard for me to imagine. It's hard for me to believe that with full confidence that we're going to do better than 13-4. That's just my gut. On those power rankings real quick, I just wanted to go through from worst to best. Just a few thoughts from Eric there. So if this is the part of the video where you're like, I don't really care, that's cool. But I don't pay crazy detailed attention to all of the teams in the NFL after the draft. I pay close attention to the big first round draft, and I pay close attention to the teams that matter most to me, like our division teams and my favorite teams and that kind of stuff. So Cardinals, of course, land arguably the best receiver with Marvin Harrison. Also picked up a pass rusher. I think they're looking improved, and we'll see if Kyler Murray can get his head on his shoulders straight. I'm hoping that he doesn't, but you never know. Who else we got here? So Seahawks, of course, they pick up Byron Murphy, but interestingly, who was the guy that they passed on? I'm going to have to go back and think about that. There's a lot of question marks about the Seahawks and what they're actually going to do. I've heard some people think that the Seahawks are going to be a lot better this season. I think a lot better coming from, what were they, 9-8? A lot better is saying a lot. I don't know if I see that happening. So I'm going to have to keep rolling on that one. The New York Jets get the offensive tackle. They pass on Brock Bowers, which was an interesting decision there. In their particular need for weapons. And if you are thinking Aaron Rodgers is in his last couple of seasons, I don't know why you'd pass on that guy. Graham Barton is the center starting day one, according to Eric, for Tampa Bay Bucks. For me, the draft class was an extension of the Bucks offseason as a whole. Low on big name imports, but high on depth fortification. Okay. Obviously, Minnesota Vikings pick up J.J. McCarthy. And we'll have to see what happens there, but he will have some weapons around him for sure. It'll be interesting to see how he gets along with Justin Jefferson, of course. Let's see here. Rams rebuilding. Again, I think this rank is very much undershooting where they're actually going to be this season. I think they're going to be a lot better. But yes, they did lose Aaron Donald. That's something to be fair about. They had 4 picks with 2 inside defensive guys and 2 on the edge. So some people are saying, they're just putting a lot of depth around the defensive line. I get that for sure, making up for a big name. Caleb Williams, of course, gets a new wide receiver. And who was their number 1? Oh, well, their number 1 is going to be Keenan Allen, right? For sure. So he's going to have his weapons for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how the Bears end up faring. They kind of figured some interesting things out last season. And I have a buddy who's a big Bears guy, and he's very, very, very optimistic about how the Bears season is going to go. So we'll see how that happens. Let's see here. For the Dolphins, completely understand the rationale of taking edge Chop Robinson in the first round. They have so many weapons on offense that it makes sense to be drafting defensive players. Good team there that will definitely be a challenge to play against But on the nice side, like sometimes it's nice to go to warm weather in the middle of winter. So we'll see when it happens. Bolstering an offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. That's in transition. I endorsed that last element with refinement. Tyler Guyton, I don't know how to say his name, to be honest with you, could be a prototypical Cowboys monster at tackle. I love reading all of these and everybody talking about all the offensive tackles and how amazing they are. And just sitting here on your hands like, we could have got that guy. We could have done that. But anyway, whatever. Landing Cooper Beebe was the 73rd overall pick, felt like highway robbery, especially if he ends up being Dallas's starting center day one. Throwing an edge and a wideout. There you go. These are all based on the draft picks, of course, but Packers' biggest question coming out of the draft might be where first-rounder Jordan Morgan ends up playing next season. So we'll have to see if he ends up being a guard or a tackle. If he's inside, outside, I'm not really sure. But that is a factor for sure. The Bills, they passed on Xavier Worthy, or at least they could have gotten him, and they chose not to get him. And instead, they trade out of that spot, pick up Keon Coleman. This would be interesting to see how that works for Josh Allen. I was talking earlier, like I just don't see Josh Allen as he's a fantastic quarterback, and any given Sunday he could be amazing, but then any given Sunday he could throw 3 picks. So he's a question mark for me. It's hard for me to pick him beating us. Let's see here. Detroit Lions. Okay, so they get some big exemptions for St. Brown for sure. They pick up Terry and Arnold, who might not walk into the building in Allen Park as a ready-made shutdown corner, but he has that potential and fills a pretty big necessity for a team that should be very much be in the Super Bowl mix this coming season. Corner was Detroit's biggest need, and they landed 2 of my top 6 in this draft class. That will makes me a little bit uncomfortable to see that. That's going to be a big matchup, of course. And then let's see here. I was looking at the 49ers for a second. And then Xavier Worthy with his 4.2 40, absolutely blowing everybody's minds. And, of course, somehow here's another team, Kansas City, picking up players at the offensive line, particularly a tackle, which does have me concerned in some way, shape, or form. Wow, 17 minutes. See, like I said, this could easily be a 30-minute video. Maybe I should have done 2 different videos. But if you made it to the end, I want to give you massive kudos. You should comment below and be like, yeah, I did make it to the end. We're all very impressed with you, and I don't think too highly of myself, so well done for sticking around. Let me know in the comments what you think about what the 49ers actual, win-loss record, super early pick, totally get that, but what do you think is going to happen? Here's mine again. I've got that win-loss record, and as soon as the schedule comes out, which is probably not going to be till next week now, according to the rumors, I have us covered on that one as well. When the day comes, we know what to do. So there you have it. I'm 13-4, feeling optimistic about the season and another go at the Super Bowl. And as always, faithful, what a time to be alive.